here's going to be questions and such in the live on YouTube.
Oh, we're interacting.
We're in. Guys, hello. Welcome from Necker Island. We are here with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Antonio Esfandiari, also known as the Magician. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
There was a time when perhaps you could say the man, the myth, the legend. Those days are far behind me.
Yes, well,
just a simple man trying to make my way through the universe.
That's the good part. We're here to kind of reflect on your career.
I'm all about reflection. Is this the Flow? Am I on the Flow show?
You're on the Jeff Gross podcast.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Twitch, so the Flow show. But this is...
You have the Flow show, you have the podcast, you have all your other stuff.
Things are happening, yeah. Things are
Can I just say that you are the hardest working man that I know? Not just in the business, just in general. We're on Necker Island for Bill Perkins' 50th birthday. Do you see what's behind me? That incredible beach. And somehow PBF has got me here for a podcast. Only PBF can make such maneuvers.
Well, listen, we're here, we're live, and let's reflect a little bit.
No delay?
No delay.
Live,
like,
no delay.
No
so whatever I say, there's no going back.
And we're in. It's
okay,
just
I gotta
happening.
be very careful
be focused,
here.
Think about everything.
Right.
There's some,
let's not get it mixed up.
Let's keep it.
What do we got, PBF?
All right, well,
does everybody know what PBF stands for? Everybody knows, right?
I'm not sure. You could tell them real quick.
PBF stands for Professional Best Friend. There was a time when PBF was a professional best friend. He's still kind of a professional best friend, but now he's got other priorities in his life.
I do have a baby on the way. Things are happening, and this is one of my best friends in the world. So I'm trying to make sure. Yeah, we'll get into that. We're
Top
both,
5.
Yeah, you're
Top
in the
3.
mix. You're in the mix. We're gonna show you real quick. Let me hotkey over here to F6 and just show those of you who don't know Antonio Esfandiari. This is his resume, and again, this is for those of you that are poker players. Kind of understand tournaments versus cash games. Obviously, if you're at the Bellagio, the Aria, great establishment. If you're there playing, it doesn't document your wins, losses in that function, but it does show you tournaments, and what stands out here is you're number 7 on the all-time money list.
That's not really that impressive. They only remember first. Don't ever forget that.
All right, speaking of first,
okay,
how about...
only remember
first.
Well,
then let's talk about it first. How about your best live cash ever?
Okay, that one they might remember.
The $18 million score, one drop, $1 million entry tournament. You almost didn't play. You did hop in. You ended up taking down the tournament. Let's talk about that a little. Can you relive that 2012?
Well, you were there.
I was there.
You looked more excited than anyone else.
Well, I was excited for you, but can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I always reflect back to that moment and wish I could go back and relive it for just 40 seconds because it was a feeling that I don't think I'll ever be able to experience again in my life. Unless maybe I win the main event or something like that, because it's that first time you win something like that. It was such a rush. It was a euphoric moment, and I almost had this outer body experience, and it was the greatest sober high I've ever had in my life. It was incredible. So yeah, I wish I could relive it. It'll be tough. I'm probably not a favorite to ever get that feeling again for the rest of my life. As far as the work world is concerned,
Yeah.
Obviously, when my sons were born, it's pretty freaking cool.
2
but
sons,
different.
Those of you who have seen Antonio maybe a little less, that's a big reason. He has been playing less of the tournaments as of late, but again, doesn't need an introduction. I just want to scroll back here to where it all started. Maybe talk a little bit about your first, I know your nickname Kid44. As you can see, it looks like you played one other kind of side thing, but your first really tournament score, you took third, 44 grand, got your start there. What was it like back playing poker? And were you playing poker before 2002? And how did you get into tournaments versus cash games? How long were you playing before this tournament started, these things?
For a few years. I was playing poker for a few years. I used to run around with Phil Locke and a couple other guys in the Bay Area and drift around and try and find games all over. It was a blast. This is pre Phil having a girlfriend, and it was just him and I, and we used to just go all over the place. We had a really good time doing it. And then when the WPT came around, it was like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden we're these degenerate poker players and we have an opportunity to get some airtime. Let's try and make that happen. And so we played in a couple WPTs, and that was the one where I took third, but I tortured Phil Hellmuth on the show. Just completely tortured him.
In this one right here?
Yeah, and so that was my claim to fame. But, if you really wanted to have a name in the poker universe back then, you really had to win a main event, a WPT, or, a very big tournament. And back then it was really only the WPT. And so maybe I think it was a year or so later I got pretty lucky and won the WPT Commerce.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right here. February 2000.
Year and a half or so later.
Yeah, 382 entries, 10K buy-in, World Poker Tour event. You take first place for $1.4 million. So this is a while ago. You're a young kid, younger in your career, to get a major win when it's televised. Got right place, right time. What did that do for you in terms of how did that change your life?
It changed everything. I mean, all of a sudden I was on the map. I had a bankroll. I was the youngest guy in the poker. I was actually younger than Daniel at the time, and so all of a sudden, I was on the map as kind of somebody, and so I just decided, you know what, I'm going to ride this wave as long as I can. And the end goal was always really to make it to your podcast, and we're finally here. So the one drop was great, but getting here has been. I'm going to really celebrate.
We're going to remember this. It's documented. We're live. We're going to have
on
it
Necker
in.
Island.
We're doing that. That is a nice background.
Richard Branson's running around somewhere.
Yeah, shout out to Men of Finks. Might have some of them tuning in, it looks like. We're having fun. We're here, and we are celebrating Antonio's career and talking about that. I want to check with you on some other trips we've had the opportunity. We've gone to, there's a lot. Istanbul, Turkey. Turkey. We've gone a lot of fun places. What would be a trip or some experiences that, I guess, poker-wise, that you've gone to? What stands out for you in your life of trips? Like, is there certain places in the world you've gone that, poker's allowed you this opportunity? What stands out for you?
I think our trip to Istanbul and Cyprus was definitely up there. Going up to Playground in Montreal is always up there. I love that place. All the tournaments in Vegas, I think that, the WPT in December is great. At Bellagio, I love that one. As far as traveling around the world for poker, poker allowed me the opportunity to get to so many different places that I would have never gone to, and that's always pretty cool. But my days of drifting around and chasing the tournament poker dream are kind of over. So if I had to pick one, I would say going to Istanbul with you on that trip. And it wasn't even a poker tournament. It was we were kind of chasing a potential cash game kind of thing. That was a blast.
Yeah,
if you'd like to share the details, please by all means. Well, but you probably keep that under wraps.
Some things we'll just leave for later podcasts. Also, meeting some really interesting people, different opportunities in poker. I think that's one of the cool things that you do get to. You can't compete with a great athlete in their sport one-on-one, but poker you get to meet interesting people in business and sporting.
Pretty young.